Welcome to the Accounting Profits and Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Louis Prosperi. Today we have a great guest. He is a YouTube influencer, a CPA, and a fantastic influencer. Please welcome to the show, Hector Garcia. Hey, Hector. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Louis. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure having you. I know we've tried to get you on the show a couple times before, and I'm so happy that we have you here today. I understand you're doing something special in October. Could you tell us what that is?
Yeah, that's is occupying a lot of my time and brain space right now is our second annual conference called REFRAME. Last year, we did it in Miami, Florida. It was called Creative Business Models for Accountants. It was all about, getting rid of the hourly fees, moving into maybe a more subscription-based business model, thinking about how to communicate a new way, a new approach of doing your business, thinking about other brands and how they capture customers, how they create value. What do these brands have in common with accounting? What do they not have in common with accounting? How can we bridge the gap? Basically, it was all about getting creative with the business models. It was a huge success. Our mutual friend, Ron Baker, was there. Another friend of mine, Chris Doe, also was a headline speaker there. So it was great. It was magical. We had about 100 people. And then this year we decided to do it again. We changed the theme. The theme this year for 2024 is called Influential Conversations for Accountants. So year one, we talked about the business model. Year two, we're thinking, okay, how do we communicate all these changes? How do we communicate our value? How do we have more elevated, more effective conversations with everyone that we work with, team members, employees, your boss, your clients, of course, software partners. So this year is all about communications. And one of the inspirations of that was a book called Exactly What to Say. My brother is actually an Exactly What to Say certified guide. He's my partner in the conference business. And we're actually going to have Phil Jones, the author of that book, do a whole keynote and kind of do an immersive experience on, how to better react, how to better be prepared to crucial, very important conversations in our world, in the accounting world. So if you want to check it out, if you want to come by, hang out with us, reframe2024.com. It's in October and it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
That's pretty cool. Are the tickets already out? Is it ready? Are you promoting it now or is it coming out soon? Where is it right? Where are you at now with the promotional
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking. So we have a 200 ticket cap. We have 120 tickets sold to date. So We're about 60% in, a couple months down the road. We sold out last year around mid-August. So we're thinking that the same thing will happen for this year.
So what you're saying is that we'll make sure we'll have it out, but we'll also time's running out. You're already at 60% sales. So that's fantastic. That's great news. With regards to the event, I like that influential conversations. I really think that that's important. One of the things that accountants don't have enough time with is making the proper time for conversations. What do you think about that when it comes to communication? Accountants generally are very, very busy. And one of the things they don't really spend a lot of time on is conversations. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think it's a two-prong approach. So approach number one, let's assume that the status quo stays, and we only spend an hour of quality conversation with our clients per year. If you're actually going to think about it, when you average it out, you take all the low-touch clients, all the high-touch clients, maybe we're spending an hour or two aggregate, right? The entire year of actual meaningful one-to-one conversations. I think we can say the same thing about our primary doctors, probably, same sort of situation, right? So there's a lot of customers, there's a lot to get through. We go straight to the point. We go bang, 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 bang. Here we go. Move to the next. So assuming the status quo stays and we cannot increase the amount of time we can spend with our clients, then we need to have just more effective conversations, right? So we got to figure out if the budget for amount of words that we can exchange with a client doesn't increase, then let's pick the right, most effective words. And to me, effectivity, truly, especially in the age of AI and stuff like that we could discuss the specifics, it's going to be becoming influential. It's because we tell our clients a lot of things. We give them a lot of advice. We give them a lot of warnings. We say, please look at this, please look at that. And at the end of the day, it feels like they don't listen, or if they listen, it comes through one ear and the other, or they only pick apart the words that they like from an entire, very nuanced and complex conversation. They picked out 2 or 3 words, just like they do with the tax gurus online, where they pick out 2 or 3 words and they say, oh, I heard that so-and-so is deductible. I feel that as a profession, this is a huge problem that we have, where our communication is not staying within, it doesn't have any staying power. So I think that having this ethos of trying to be influential with every single word that you say, not just being intentional, but making sure that the other person is moved in one way, shape, or form. You don't have to convince them, but you have to make sure that they understand where you're coming from and the reason why you're so passionate about what you're telling them. That's going to increase the chances of people actually doing something about whatever suggestion or advice or consulting work, or warning them to mitigate XYZ risk, whatever you're doing.
Yes.
So that's the first prong. The second prong approach is, well, let's just figure out how to change our business models in such a way that is more focused on the conversation and not so much the transactional work. And this is where I think AI is going to either make or break this system. Okay, so AI is going to either make or break it. So AI will either completely change the mindset of the customer, and the customer will say, I no longer need humans, computers can do everything for me, done, and kill the accounting profession. Or the other side, the accounting profession can now figure out how to automate the stuff that used to stress us out and make us work until very late into the night. So then we can reinvest that time into the relationship building and the meaningful conversations. So I think, again, it's a 2-prong approach. I'm not saying it needs to be one way or the other way, but in either case, I think all of us, including myself, we need to get better at being more effective with our communication and become more influential figures in our clients' prosperity.
That's interesting. You actually brought up two key points for me, was the AI part and communication. So when we talk about AI, the AI or artificial intelligence part on communication, what do you mean? Like, how can we use artificial intelligence to be that type of communicator? Is that based on our emails? How do we do it? Is it based on prompts? Like, can you give us some feedback on how to use AI to actually become more effective?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And, we're here middle of 2024, and it's been about a year and a half since ChatGPT came out and kind of changed the world's outlook on what you can do with AI. And I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like. So I just want to clear that out. But I can tell you what's happening now. So one of the things that's happening now is accountants, professionals are getting emails from their clients, and they're getting that email, throwing it into ChatGPT, getting ChatGPT to automate the answer, and they're sending that back to the customer. Now, that could be a double-edged sword, I think. So like the first part of the double-edged sword, sort of the negative part, is that we're trying to automate relationships, and I don't think we should ever do that. One of the tenets of the Reframers Manifesto, which is kind of like the ethos behind like how we build the conference, is we can automate processes, but we must humanize relationships, right? So that's a really important piece, right? So we can automate things as long as those things are not fundamental tenets of relationship building. And I believe that when the customer asks you a question, most of the times they want a human to read it, read every word, read every line, but most importantly, read between the lines and give me an answer that only you can give me, because you know the nuances of my life, my desires, my goals. There's other conversations we've had over the years that layer on top of the quality of the answer that you're going to give. And that context, ChatGPT or any AI system won't have. So while AI is going to be really good at answering technical questions. Like if a client comes to me and says, hey, I want to buy a truck for my new business that's going to do this, that's a little bit different than the old business.
Sure.
We got to figure out how to like coexist with AI in such a way that we go, okay, here's the context that I'm going to add to this. Then I'm going to ask ChatGPT, give me a framework for answering this question. Get ChatGPT to maybe give you like a couple of bullet points, and then you go in there and you add your own piece to it. So we could use AI to help us boost our speed and our efficiency, but AI by itself is only going to make us more efficient, which will cause us to be less effective. So I think efficacy, which is the end result, it's helping the client, is getting the client in a better place to where they were before they ask you a question, is going to come from the human element of it. But we can't ignore that to stay competitive, we are going to have to use these tools, because our competitors, especially the younger ones, the ones that just started using, ChatGPT the minute they started the profession, and they're already like sort of like totally engulfed in this technology, they're going to be a lot faster than us in every process. Even though the old school guys, we may have a little bit more experience, but they're going to be a lot faster than us. And now we have to marry the value of deep thinking, waiting for an answer, applying experience, discernment, knowledge, context, all that stuff, to the speed of AI. And we have to figure out how to marry these two for us to figure out how to like serve our clients in the way that they will start expecting it, because there will be a huge expectation shift when it comes to speed. Like ChatGPT 3.5 came out, you ask a question, maybe it took a minute to answer. ChatGPT 4 or whatever's coming, you ask a question, it takes 3 seconds. The customers are expecting overall that the answers to all their questions are just going to come in faster and faster and faster. And we are knowledge workers. People hire us for our knowledge. The minute there's an alternative that can produce the same knowledge in a faster pace, they're going to start comparing us and pinning us against that. So that's how I think about how we shape the future of professional plus AI, specifically when it comes to like emails and communications.
So it's interesting because when we talk about AI, and our most of our customers are not accountants or CPAs or really knowledgeable in the industry. And my experience with AI or with ChatGPT, you can ask it a question, but it comes back very technical. If you don't understand what that means, and then you go down that rabbit hole and keep asking questions, it gets more convoluted. If you ever use ChatGPT, that's what seems to happen. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that from it being replacing us, I think it's because of how difficult the understanding of our knowledge base, unless, like you indicate, unless the AI actually understands them as a human and understands their background, I think we're okay with regards to AI replacing us. I think that's my personal opinion, Hector, that I don't think it's going to happen in that sense. I don't think AI can actually provide the knowledge base with the context that we have to put into the system based on what I've been looking at right now. But you're right. It could change dramatically in 6 months, and I could be eating my own words in 6 months, right? So I get that. So let's take a look at a bit ChatGPT, because that's probably the big one right now. I think, I don't know what other ones out there, but if you say ChatGPT, everybody knows what you're talking about. And I'm assuming a lot of accountants are doing it. What are you using ChatGPT right now for your business, or how are you enhancing your practice?
Sure. So it's important for your audience to know, if they're not familiar with my work, that I'm both a practitioner and an educator, and those are two dimensions of me that I can't separate. But when it comes to how I use ChatGPT, it's slightly different. Okay. So as the practitioner side of me, which is myself and my team and the people that deal with small business owners, and they're doing monthly accounting work, and they're doing annual tax returns and sales tax and payroll, all that stuff, we use ChatGPT in a very specific way. As an educator, I use it a little bit different. So some of the things that I have done, and I would tell you this up front, is I would take, like as I mentioned earlier, I would take a client question, okay, and run it through ChatGPT and compare it with the answer I would have written without the aid of ChatGPT. And I'm studying the gaps, Okay. And that's really important to me, because one of the things I want my team to do is to not have to go upstream to a partner or to one of the CPA supervisors to get a blessing on every single technical, accounting, or tax question, because that bottleneck effect, puts us back to where we were, pre-AI. So prior to letting AI loose and telling my team, every technical tax question you get, don't even run it through us, run it to ChatGPT and give them that answer. I'm starting to compare these two. Okay. And then I'm talking through with team members and say, hey, check it out. This is the answer I would give. And this is the answer that ChatGPT gives. And we start studying and understanding what those gaps are. That's probably the most fundamental thing that we're doing, is just understanding what is going to come. When it comes to like day-to-day work, like for example, the other day, a client sent me a spreadsheet where the lines were not lining up. Like we had the date and the description and the amount. They were just, for whatever reason, they were defaced on the spreadsheet. And I know how to go into Excel and clean that stuff up. Like I know the process. I don't know every Excel formula, by heart, but I know that with a little bit of research, I probably could spend 30 minutes and clean that spreadsheet up. Or I could go back to my client and go, hey, clean the spreadsheet up before sending it to me. Instead, I threw it in ChatGPT. I told it what the first line should look like. I'm like, look, the first line really should be this. Can you go through the entire spreadsheet and clean it up? And within seconds, it cleaned up that spreadsheet, and I was able to import it into QuickBooks, and we were able to do the books in no time without having to bother our clients. So that's just a very specific example. In other cases, like spreadsheet stuff, you can quickly add and replace stuff. You can add and replace things with, believe it or not, faster than you could do it with Excel. So if you're looking at a bunch of transactions and you say, hey, if you see any transactions are close to Miami, put a little in a separate field, put local. And if the zip code, the phone number, because sometimes it gives you the city of the place that you're spending the money in. If it's not within 50 miles of Miami, put non-local or something like that. And then with the spreadsheet, and we're feeding the data into QuickBooks with this additional piece of information. We massaged it prior to bringing it into QuickBooks. Now, when it comes to categorizing meals or travel or whatever, we have additional piece of context where the bookkeeper can quickly make a decision on which way to go. Now, it doesn't mean that automatically everything that's not local should be travel expense. It doesn't mean that.
Sure.
But we're using the power of AI to create additional context to help us discern and figure out what those categories should be. Also, as a practitioner, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm a co-developer of an app for QuickBooks called Right Tool. And one of the things that we did with this app is we added a little add-on that if you're looking at a transaction that was downloaded through the bank and you're not sure where the payee is, you can press a button, and then through this app, it queries ChatGPT and says, hey, what do you think this could be? And then it comes back and gives you the category that ChatGPT thinks it could be. Again, is it the right answer? Sometimes no. It just gives you additional context. It's additional help. It's additional boost. And these are the ways I'm thinking how to get my team that doesn't have the 20 years of experience that I have to work faster and more effective. And when as practitioners, especially the leaders of the practitioners, we can take all this knowledge and context of our experience and body of work and turn it into something useful for our more line level team members. We are going to boost them up. We're going to give them more utility. We're going to make them better, and they're going to learn how to be. They're going to learn how to be better because ChatGPT is kind of helping them along the way. So that's like in my practice world, the way we have been using it. There's also been there's other ways as well, but I think that's probably the most tangible of all of it. Everything else has been mostly experimental. Now, as an educator, what I've been doing is I've been just testing the heck out of it. Like I've taken a credit card statement, run it through ChatGPT and say, give me a P&L on this. And then I take the same credit card statement, download it to QBO and QuickBooks Online, and accept every single default category that QuickBooks Online gives me, and then compare what ChatGPT gives me versus, QuickBooks' AI gives me. And then I judge, hey, I would have done it like this, I would have done it like that, and I put videos up there because I want people to feel safe about playing with it, because I think that right now we're in a time where AI is there to help us play. It's not there to help us replace humans, not yet. It's not there to help us replace our job. It's not there to help us transform our industry, not yet. Right now, we're in this very cool time where it's completely not frowned upon to experiment with AI. And I'm sure that you can go to your employer, let's say you're an employee in an accounting firm, and you go back and say, hey, over the weekend, I played with this and that. I threw a couple of spreadsheets in there, and I think this is kind of helping us. Would you as a company allocate a little bit more resources to get all of us involved in this and figure out how we can build something that can help us as a firm get better? This is a very awesome time where everyone is sort of open to experimenting and see what's potentially possible. So I've been creating a lot of videos about ChatGPT, alternatives to ChatGPT, different AI things that are out there within the context of accounting to help people feel safe about just playing around with it.
Hector, what about Copilot? Is Copilot? Have you looked at Copilot? Because I know that's the Microsoft version of ChatGPT. Is it the same thing, or are they different? Is there a difference between the two of them?
Yeah, so there's two sides of Copilot. So let's call it version 1. This was Bing Chat. So this is Microsoft trying to bring Bing back into relevancy,
okay,
by forcing people to use the bing.com/chat or whatever. And it's a ChatGPT style app. As a matter of fact, they started by using all open AI engines because Microsoft has a big partnership with OpenAI, with the folks that built ChatGPT.
Right.
And right now, what is happening is Microsoft is still trying to figure out how to get out of the chat interface and get into the sort of seamless AI interface. And what Copilot is becoming a tool that takes all of your Microsoft related software context. So the data that's inside your Windows computer, the emails are in your Outlook, all the Word documents you have created, all the Excel spreadsheets you have created, all the PowerPoint. So just think about the Microsoft suite of products. And what Copilot eventually is going to be is, if you're typing a letter in Word, and all of a sudden you type something about 2022 XYZ company P&L, and the thing will pop up and go, hey, I got 3 spreadsheets that say this. Are you trying to get information from these spreadsheets? That's kind of what it wants to do. And by the way, this is both incredibly awesome and scary at the same time. It's like now we're giving Copilot all of our data, all of our client data, all of our internal know-how, because you kind of have to expose your entire workflow to the machine, to AI, for them to AI to be able to enable this efficiency. So Copilot, what it's going to be eventually is going to be that. Now, I switched to Mac a couple years ago, and I may not see really in real life Copilot work. We use Gmail, we use Windows and Mac. We are not like 100% Microsoft people. I know some people are like 100% Microsoft.
Right.
I think Copilot eventually is going to be very useful for the like full 100% Microsoft folk. Now, on the Google world, so for example, we use Gmail, and we use Google Docs, and we use Google Sheets, and we use Microsoft products too. But a lot of the work that we do, it's in the Google suite.
Right.
There is Bard, that's their old name, Bard, and now it's being renamed to Gemini. Gemini is the name of the sort of the engine, the AI engine. But Google AI eventually is going to be the same thing. So across all your docs, right? Your Gmail, your Google Docs, your Google spreadsheets, all the assets that Google has that contains data, it's all going to be conjoined and connected. And again, just like Gmail suggests ways for you to finish your email based on things that you've answered in the past, it's going to be suggesting for you, not just based on the ways you've answered in the past based on the other context that you have. Like you could be writing a letter to one of your employees, and then you have a document somewhere where 2 years ago you have an employment agreement, and you're telling them about something, and thing will come up. Oop, you want to see the employment agreement? You want to attach the employment agreement? Like it's going to be smart enough to like look through all the content and try to help you contextualize every single piece of work that you do.
So I guess the thing that keeps popping into my mind is I get the fact that it's looking into my ecosystem or my ecosystem of documents and software. How do we prevent leakage to the real world? Is that already built in? Because I think that's for most of us in our industry, leakage of confidential information, sensitive data, not general data, but sensitive data. Should we be worried about that, or is that something that's not a concern right now? What should we do on our end as professional accountants to protect our customers and also our proprietary knowledge? What should we do there?
So I don't know, but what I do know is from the stuff that I send ChatGPT now and other AI systems. So for example, when I send them a P&L and I say, hey, can you give me a summary of the type of advice I should give this client, based on this context, and I post a P&L and a balance sheet and AR report or whatever, I try to obfuscate any personal identifiable information. I'll change the company name to XYZ Corp. I'll take away all the partner names from the balance sheet if there's loans or whatever. So prior to me sending ChatGPT and any of these things, I am hiding or changing some of this, jumbling some of this data. Now, this imminent future of Microsoft AI having access to all your stuff, or Apple AI in your phone having access to all the stuff, or Google AI having access to all your stuff, I don't know how to protect the data other than trusting that these people do it correctly. So I think the future is going to be either on keeping an eye on how these companies present their security systems, how they get audited by third parties, how they verify and certify that this stuff is ironclad. And hopefully, I'm hoping that with all these systems, we get the option to opt in when we are ready. Okay. But at the same time, think about when banks started opening up online banking. Okay. I'm sure there was a whole bunch of accountants that say, oh, how do we protect our information? It's on the internet now. And then when we went from desktop, accounting on the desktop and accounting to the cloud, it was the same concern. And the new concern is the data that's on the cloud, we're going to give access to some AI, and we don't know, like, this is a black hole. Like, we don't even know how this works.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that we are in the position to be cautious still. And I wouldn't tell anybody, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about, because I can't say that. I can't say that. I don't know. I don't work for the auditing team that audits their security systems. I just try to make sure that everything I send up there doesn't have any information that otherwise I wouldn't want a third party to see.
But that's interesting, because nowadays, I don't know if you've noticed this, but every program I'm on has an AI component attached to it now. Zoom has AI, everything I'm doing. So you're right. I guess the AI part, when you said Samsung has AI on their phones and stuff. So at the end of the day, when we go to, the more we're going to this world, I guess we're losing control, I guess is the best way to say it. We just hope that the control systems in there are better. I get it. It makes perfect sense. It's an unknown right now compared to before. It makes perfect sense. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with regards to what's next in the accounting industry. What are you seeing, or what are you planning as an educator and influencer? What are you looking for going forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So first of all, I'm going to go back about 5 years. So QuickBooks, the biggest player in this world, introduced QuickBooks Live. Okay, and QuickBooks Live is the big multi-billion-dollar accounting software company is now offering accounting services to small business owners.
Right.
That's the first warning shot. I think it's the very first warning shot that the accounting profession can stand still and watch all the software companies do this. And basically, the brand behind the software company might get better and stronger than the brand behind CPA, accountant, bookkeeper.
Mm.
So that warning shot is a really important one, because some accountants choose to say, well, they don't do it that well. You see the work that they do and it's a mess and we had to clean it up. Don't worry, #job security. Or stuff like, well, they can't be everything to everyone, so they're going to have a very limited basic scope, and we're still going to need professionals to do specialized type of work. That's true. Or people say stuff like, well, they can't deal with manufacturers, they can't deal with construction, they can't deal with nonprofits. They don't have that specialized knowledge, and quite frankly, people just don't trust a general software company to do very specialized work. So they're going to they're going to seek after professionals. Or they're not boots in the ground. They're not local. Like they can't, shake hands and rub elbows with clients like we do. So all that stuff is right. And I think it's important to at least hang on to that, to not get depressed about the bigger software companies in the world offering accounting services.
Yeah.
However, the challenge will be that we, especially accountants, when we moved our data from desktop to the cloud, we have given them all of our know-how. Like the software companies now have the metadata of every single transaction we have ever categorized within the context of that company's name, industry, location. And now with AI, all of a sudden, they will have the power to compute that metadata and combine their services that they're doing with the automation that the software companies can do.
Correct.
So this fear of accounting software companies taking over our industry has just accelerated tenfold, with the presence of AI. So should we go do something else? Should we just close up shop and start a burger joint? No. Some will, I think, and some people have said that they will retire early, or that they won't,
Sure.
that they're seeing they're seeing the end of the profession, all that stuff. I choose to see this as an opportunity for us as a profession to rebrand ourselves, okay? Or to reframe, for the lack of a better term, to reframe to the world, what is it that human accountants do that bots, computers, AI can never do? And that cannot be, we categorize stuff really quickly, because that's never going to be the area that we're going to compete in. We're never going to compete on transaction categorization. We're never going to compete on the speed of financial statement preparation. We're never going to compete on auditing. I mean, AI is going to transform auditing.
Yeah. True.
That's absolutely. True. So where can we compete in? We can compete in partnering with our clients for success. Hand-holding our clients towards success is using our understanding of accounting concepts, understanding of business, understanding of working with many clients, of how the world works in terms of financial information, and guiding our clients through that success. That needs to be what accountants stand for in the future. It can't be all about looking at the past, computing the past, preparing financial statements, because there will be a turning point where you will not be able to differentiate the quality of the work from AI versus a human. Okay. Now, when I say the quality of the work, we're talking about the paper output. We're talking about the transaction categorization of the financial statements. Quality can be determined in other ways. It's going to be much more pleasant to work with a human that's also pleasant versus working with a computer. And I know many business owners prefer to just work with a computer and not work with another human. So that's also going to have some nuance around there. But I think for the most part, having someone alongside of you that you trust as a person, you trust as a human, you trust their judgment, you trust their experience, having someone by your side will help small business owners feel less lonely in their journeys. And they will be able to quickly be able to distinct the difference between working with a partner versus working with a computer. And if we're able to reframe and rebrand ourselves as that guide, as the Jiminy Cricket to Pinocchio, as the Yoda to Luke Skywalker, as that guide, that wise sage that's there to tell you the right things so you can figure out your own path. Just give you enough tough love and then confidence to forge your own path. That's going to be how people will value us and how our profession will continue to be relevant. So I think the opportunity right now is to all of us together, to band together the profession and help us reframe that. Like, we got to get people to think, when they think of accounting, they're like, oh yeah, those are the most forward-looking, creative, and innovative people I've ever worked with, which is the opposite of how we stand now. So,
by the way, Hector, I love your enthusiasm and optimism on our profession, because I love the fact where you went to the gloom and doom and now you're going. I agree with you. I think this is a great opportunity for us to build. I really like that idea. I think what Ron Baker did with his Time's Up subscription model, and I think you're doing it as well. We're going back to our roots, right? Because the real value wasn't the transactions, wasn't the bookkeeping, wasn't all the stuff that the AI is taking over. It's the relationship with our customers, right? And if we go back to building a business model that ties into relationship and focus on that, I think you're right. I think that's where we fit in, and we don't know where AI is going to go, but I do agree with you. The relationship part of our industry is our core, and if we focus on that, we don't have to worry as much on because we can compete. You're absolutely right. There's no way we're going to compete on the efficiency from the automation components,
Thanks for mentioning Ron, by the way, Ron Baker. He's been a huge influence on me, and specific to the last book that he wrote, Time's Up, and also what I'm calling the Ron Baker question. He hates when I say that, but the Ron Baker question is, what if Disney were to open an accounting firm? Or what if Disney were to take over an accounting firm? Yeah. Okay. When he said that question, by the way, I've never thought about myself as a person responsible to help this reframing of the profession forward. I've always thought, I do my thing, I do videos, I try to help people around me, I try to make my firm as profitable and successful as possible, but I never thought that I had a role in this. Okay. When Ron asked the question, what if Disney were to open an accounting firm? And I sat there with my own thoughts and thought, okay, I've been to Disney quite a bit. I live in Florida. I got 4 kids. Trust me, I have tons of Disney World park experience. And I've seen tons of movies, a big fan of Disney stuff. Yeah. When you actually break down that question, okay, what if Disney were to open an accounting firm? But you peel the onion back a little bit and you go, okay, how does Disney make you feel? Okay, and then you actually just think about the words that pop up to your mind. Well, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel optimistic. It helps me feel ecstatic, excited, magical, like this keywords that Disney uses. It helps me feel magical. When you start thinking of components of what the Disney brand means to people, and you were to take that experiment and then start thinking, well, Disney doesn't call their employees. Okay, Disney calls them cast members, right? Because when you go to Disney World, they're putting on a play for you. They're putting on a show for you. Okay, that's why they're cast members, and they don't call their customers just customers, right? They call them guests, because you're supposed to pamper a guest. You're supposed to be our guest, like the song, be our guest, make your guests feel welcome. That entire culture around how people should behave in Disney World actually affects customers. When customers go to Disney World, one of the hottest places in the world, longest lines, super expensive everything, people are still happy, smiling, and feeling like they're in a magical place, because the Disney brand is all engulfing. And why couldn't an accounting firm do it like that? Why can't we do that? Okay, if they did it with cartoons, which are very inconsequential to people's lives, but we are there helping small business owners succeed, truly make their dreams come true. Like the Disney dreams are make believe dreams. Like you're gonna feel like a princess or a hero or whatever for the day that you're there, and then you go back to your normal life. But an accountant can help a business owner truly be the hero of the community, the hero of their family. They can help themselves and their family realize their wildest dreams. It should be a lot easier for us, the accounting profession, to build something like that. So that's why that question means so much to me, because it really put perspective that it's not about the numbers. It's not about the P&L and the balance sheet. It's not about the reconciled books. It's about how we make people feel and how we help people get closer to where they want to go. And I thank him very much for kind of like igniting that in myself, because, great questions like that, what if Disney were to open an accounting firm or take over an accounting firm, are the questions that us as a profession need to start asking. Weird, wacky questions that you would think that they just have no consequence. That's the stuff that's going to open our minds, change our perspective, and drive the perspective change of customers towards our profession.
Well, I like, this is a great ending here. End off as the accountant being the hero and this transformation of small business owners. I think this is a good place to end, but that was amazing. I really enjoyed our conversation, Hector. This was a lot of fun, and I hope people go to your event. I know there's only 80 tickets left, but that sounds like a really good thing. And how can they get a hold of you? What channels are you doing right now that people can log into and see more of what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking that. So my YouTube channel is probably the biggest thing that I have. So if you go to YouTube and type Hector Garcia CPA, you can subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos about QuickBooks, some stuff about tax, and some stuff about how to manage your profession, deep thoughts about different things, marketing and innovation and stuff like that. But for the most part, my YouTube channel is mostly QuickBooks videos. Has always been my sort of technical prowess. In Facebook, I'm in there. Just search for Hector Garcia CPA. I have 2 Facebook groups. One has about 18,000 people. It's called the QB Power Users. These are like QuickBooks users that all chat about different things on QuickBooks. And I opened that with my friend Michelle Long, CPA, who recently retired. We built that group together. That group is lasted for about 10 years plus. And I have another Facebook group called AI, ChatGPT and AI for Accountants. And that one has over 10,000 people. And then we're just having conversations about AI stuff. So just look up my name in Facebook and YouTube. And that's mostly where I am. You can search me on LinkedIn as well and message me from there. But I'm mostly active in YouTube and Facebook. And if you want to come to my conference, go to REFRAME2024.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Hector. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Hopefully you'll come back and tell us how REFRAME went and talk about 2025.
Will do, 100%. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Hector, once again, thank you for joining us today. And to you, our valued viewers, thank you for tuning into this episode. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel. And please don't forget to put your comments and feedback below. We always welcome them. Until next time, stay hydrated, always be curious, and above all, stay well.